that's where we are now. This is old Mexico. It's been seen in TV shows like ER, The OC Without a Trace, movies like NACHO, LIBRE, The Heartbreak Kid. We really don't know what the weather's going to be like from one part of our lot to the next, so here to give us our weather forecast is the one and only Al Roker from The Today Show.
Hi everybody, here's today's forecast for the Universal Backlot. It's going to be sunny and dry at 6 Points, Texas. Cool and cloudy in Little Europe. Expect snow and sleet on New York Street, and we've got a high chance of fog and precipitation for Skull Island, Amity Island, and Isla Nublar.
Say hello,
That's
Lisa.
your forecast for today. Now here's a look at what's going on in your neck of the lot.
All right, let's see what's happening here. Flash flood warning. Thank goodness. Don't think of anything to worry about. If you were in actual real danger, and here we are, flash flood heading directly to the tram.
Oh, dang, look at that.
The flash flood is a result of several thousand gallons of water being released from large tanks located at the top of a hill. We created the effect specially for the tour, but it's found its way into several films like this movie, Big Fat Liar.
You can't outrun the wolf, kid!
Yeah, we'll see about that.
I got funny motion!
On your left is the Alamo, featured in Three Amigos, Twins, What's Love Got to Do With It. This area was also dressed as a marketplace in Peru and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But now we're entering the Old West, 6 Points, Texas. Every cowboy you can think of has walked these streets, everyone from Audie Murphy and Hoot Gibson to Clint Eastwood and John Wayne. Cowboys always appeared larger than life in our westerns, had a lot to do with how I built the sets. Many of the door frames on the left side of the tram are built smaller than normal, shorter and thinner, so cowboys would appear bigger and brawnier than they actually were. On the right side of the tram, many of those door frames are built larger than normal, taller and wider, so damsels in distress would appear more vulnerable. Whoopi Goldberg did film scenes from her very first film, The Color Purple, here in 6 Points, Texas. She claims to know all about it, so here's Whoopi now to tell us more about this classic Hollywood set. Whoopi.
Did you know that more movies have been shot on these streets than any other spot in the world? Now, during the silent film era, they could shoot up to 6 movies at the same time, one on each one of these 6 streets. That's why it's called 6 Points, because each street had its own bank, its own sheriff's office, its own saloon, and its own hotel. Now, it turns out that this town ain't big enough for both of us. So get on back onto your tram stagecoach thingy and get the heck out of here. Long.
On the left, you'll see right through that last set. Most of the buildings on our lot are partial structures like this one. They're called facades. Literally translates into false fronts. We build only what the camera needs to see, just the fronts and sides of buildings, and considering we're changing their appearance from one production to the next, hopefully you haven't recognized them. It's one of 3 types of sets we can build in productions. We'll talk about the other 2 as we progress on the tour today. And we've taken audiences everywhere on our lot, from the bottom of the ocean to the surface of the moon. I mean that literally. On your left is our underwater tank. It allows the camera crew and director to remain dry while we come up through the hatches from the outside of the tank at the actors inside. Featured in movies like Dragnet, TV shows like a memorable episode of Seinfeld where Kramer attempted to swim across the East River.
I found the snake!
And what about the moon's surface? The asphalt road we're on now is the surface of the moon Tom Hanks walked across in this dream sequence from Apollo 13. On your right is a park. Any park you need. It was New York Central Park in The Last Producer with Burt Reynolds. Beyond that is Park Lake, and don't let the size of our sets fool you either. Park Lake was the entire Pacific Ocean for the 1960s television series McHale's Navy with Ernest Borgnine. More recently, that's where Mrs. Huber's ashes were scattered in season 1 of Desperate Housewives. So by now you've gotten the idea that movies are based on illusions, and you know what? They are. There's no better example than King Kong, directed by Peter Jackson. Although much of the film was created using state-of-the-art computer graphics, Peter Jackson wanted to ground it in real life. So to solve the problem, he turned to his art director, Dan Henna, and the Weta Workshop. Their solution was to create large-scale miniatures called bigatures. Actors are filmed against a blue screen, then digitally composited into the bigatures. Over 800 of these environments were created for King Kong. So what does a bigature look like? I'm glad you asked. Right now we're going to show you. We were going to show you. Roads flooded over, bridges out. Can't back this thing up. What I need you to do is to repeat with me on the count of 3. Just say part the waters. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Part the waters. Nice. Wow. That was good. Now we're going to take you down into this lagoon in a moment. You'll be surrounded on 3 sides by water. You might want to pick up those personal belongings up off the floor. They might get wet. It's not a threat, it's a promise. Pick them up. Also, please stay seated. Keep your hands and arms inside. We'll add some music right now. See the big picture on the left, the scene where the SS Venture arrives in Skull Island from King Kong. Here it is on your screens. Peter Jackson searched all over the world to find the perfect ship that could double as the Venture. The art department added several period set pieces to transform the vessel into a 1930s freighter. The SS Venture and Skull Island are highly detailed miniatures. That's as big as Skull Island ever got in the movie, and if you take a look at your monitors, you will see how the sequence was created.
That's cool, look at that.
The rain comes from rain towers, while the fog, waves, and other physical effects are created with techniques that have been around since the earliest days of film. And on screen, it looks absolutely real. Right now, we're entering our prop department. On the left, you'll see props. Many props, outdoor props. Beyond that is our 3-story property warehouse. It's where we store more than 4 million props, more than any other place in the world. A prop is anything an actor handles into production. It can be as small as paper clips all the way up to full-size grand pianos. Set pieces are very large props, typically ones that don't move, like desks or dressers. If you were to take short swords, shields, javelins, they come in handy here in the Square of Warriors. Recently seen as Genovia for Princess Diaries' 2 royal engagement with Julie Andrews and Anne Hathaway. Now, back in 1960, director Stanley Kubrick built these sets, used our props, added some clever visual effects to recreate ancient Rome for this film, Spartacus.
Look at all limo vans.
2003, it was dressed as an Egyptian marketplace for the Scorpion King, starring Dwayne Johnson. Who's he fooling? Starring The Rock. But now we're going to take you to these sets on the left. The streets of Paris or Spain or Germany, any European country we need. We call this Little Europe. Now these are not facades, these are called shells. These are complete structures. But inside you cannot film. They're not engineered for filming inside. If you want to film interiors, you have to build them inside of our front lot sound stages or a sound stage somewhere else. But as we travel through Little Europe, you notice many different colors, many different styles of architecture, great details in general. That way we can go anywhere in Europe. Why stop there? Anywhere in the world we need without leaving this small part of our lot. Here's Whoopi Goldberg.
Welcome to Little Europe. This place can be made to look almost like any country we need, just by changing the language on the side and a little set decoration. Buenos días. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca para los padres? You are buddy. Yes. Now, what's a boy like that to do around here to get some schnitzel, eh?
What tour through Universal would be complete without a discussion of monster movies? After all, we did popularize the genre back in the 1930s with monsters like Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, Dracula, and the Mummy. Many of the monsters got their start here to the right in the Court of Miracles. It all began with this film, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Fourth car, Ed. Hey, look, we found something. Ed's bringing it back to you in the fourth car.
Oh, the first.
No matter. A simple thank you will suffice.
Right here.
Little Europe was dressed as Pamplona, Spain, for the running of the Bulls sequence, which opened cities like Billy Crystal, Paris, France, and the Pink Panther with Steve Martin. The dressed as a war-ravaged 1945, World War II, Berlin, Germany, the good German. Dressed the town in Israel, and don't mess with the Zohan.
Drop something.
Dressed as Dominican Republic and Fast and Furious. Thank you, Ed. Thank you very much. Also dressed as Rome and Angels and Demons. 7 years ago, Disney came through these sets.